Welcome to all my fellow teachers, because I believe I'm a teacher first. So whenever I see a gathering of teachers, it really excites me. So uh, I take this opportunity to share few ideas with you, so that we set the tone for the workshop. You know, as Professor Shashi has already introduced the agenda and larger goals of the Delhi Knowledge Cluster, and education as one of the central theme under which, because education is the way through which all targets can be achieved. You know, so if something is rooted through education, if we educate people to be disciplined, if we educate people to care about the society, if we educate people to be more cleaner, to be more hygiene, probably our targets could have been achieved much earlier. I always give an example to my students. You know, for example, the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So we started the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan in 2014. We are still struggling to achieve the targets in terms of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, because uh, it is not rooted through education. We are doing a lot of campaigns, lot of efforts have been done. Had it been rooted through the part of curriculum, you know, where it is actually practiced, that how you can keep your surroundings very clear. So not just bookish knowledge, to practice these essence of life. So probably we would have achieved this target much earlier. So now talking about today's workshop. So the need for digital tools was felt as and when the technology was introduced in education. So it is more than a decade, you know, but still we were having a love and hate relation with technology. So teachers were not very friendly. So there were very few number of teachers who must have taken the initiative to learn this. I could see the Sangeeta ma'am, she is a good Google certified trainer. So these were the teachers who took this initiative to equip themselves with technology, but it was never felt a necessity unless the COVID was here and we realized that it is the only saving way to reach to our students. So now what is happening, you know? So teachers are learning technology because it is forced on them. So technology is one thing, but how to integrate technology with pedagogy is still a challenge, you know. For example, I give another example. So we talk about storytelling is a very effective method to reach to young children. Storytelling is an interesting method. My grandma used to tell me stories when I was child. I used to tell stories to my children. But when storytelling becomes a pedagogical tool, that is the high point of a teacher. So we use storytelling in the classroom, but we do not integrate storytelling with pedagogy. So when I talk about pedagogy, so I'm talking about child-centric education, I'm talking about inclusive education, I'm talking about when a teacher is able to reach to all children, when I'm able to make concepts clear to them, when I make my classroom constructive. Okay, when students take leadership in their learning. So all these are ways of pedagogy which we need to integrate with the technology. So this workshop is not just about learning tools. Many of you must have primitive knowledge of Google Classrooms. So, you know, when we were planning this workshop, so we had two agendas. So we wanted to know, okay, what kind of platform schools are using. So we realized either schools are using Microsoft Team or they are using G Suite. So for this workshop, we have taken G Suite. So almost all the teachers have foundational knowledge of Google tools, Google Classroom tools. But the one thing, they are not able to integrate, they are not able to make it pedagogically sound. They struggle on that. And the second is they are not able to optimize. So the tools are very, very powerful. If you actually, all of us do PowerPoint presentations, you know, but PowerPoint presentation itself is such a powerful tool. So if you have mastery on PowerPoint, probably you do not need any other tool to use, you know. So it can visualize, it can give simulations, it can uh, so uh, it can become actually the PowerPoint slide can become your rolling board where you can write, and you can add on things, and you can make it your teaching live, so that's why it's important that you learn the tools from a pedagogy perspective. So I just share few slides. I will not take much time because it's a workshop, and I really want Kushal and Steffi to take the lead before Jagjit share some of our interesting work with you. So I'll just share few slides. Jagjit, do I have permission to share the slides? So the destiny of a nation is created in the classrooms. It's not a wrong statement, and it's not a simple statement. It's a very heavy statement. So we have the we as teachers have the responsibility to shape the destiny of every student who comes to us. So these are some of the aims of education. So we want them to be leaders. We want them to be inclusive, sensitive to the environment, and rest of the team building. So and the process of education is basically the teaching, learning, and the teacher and learner. So there is a relation between these four domains. I'll just quickly take you. And when I'm talking about teacher is the first and the strongest human contact with the students. So, and you influence your students in many ways, as a mentor, as a pedagogue, as a counselor, as a guide, as a facilitator. So as teacher, you imbibe all these roles. Okay, and so there is a triangulation relation between educating, teaching, and learning. So just remember that teaching is not equivalent to learning. So, and these are not simultaneous activities. When you are teaching, you think that your students are learning maybe 100% and maybe 0%. So it is not, because when I say I taught this particular chapter to my learners, what you have done, you have finished your role and you have left the responsibility on the learner. Okay, so now it is the learner's responsibility to learn. But when I say I have made my student learn so and so concept, you have taken the ownership. So it is important that there should be a shift between I have taught this thing, I have taught the concept of fraction, or I have made my students learn fraction. So this shift has to we must move to from I have taught to I have made my students learn. Because the minute you say I have made my students learn, you have taken ownership, you have taken responsibility. Fine. And so there are different pathways of learning. So rote learning, passing examination. So rather than we are talking about making lot of network, knowing, balancing between facts and myths. So developing scientific temper as well as developing social sensitivity. Fine. So so it is important that we should have this kind of shift. And these are strategies of pedagogy. So the first of all, your learners are not blank. They come with lot of experience, lot of previous knowledge, lot of background. So it is important that you reboot what they already have, and then situate it into the context, diversify as per their needs, then expand as per their abilities, and accelerate the knowledge, accelerate the learning for them. So these should be the five stages of learning. And this is the pedagogical cycle. So from knowing, you should know your learners, you should design as per their needs, you scaffold as and when required, you analyze their learning behaviors, their learning graphs, learning trajectories, reflect again, and then start to know your learner better every day. So these should be your pedagogical practices. So it should be more productive, it should relate to practical life, and it should help them to create new solutions, new possibilities. And this is how we can make independent, creative learners who can take the challenge of the 21st century. Because the challenges are vast, challenges are unknown, unpredictable also. Okay, so these are some of the challenges in virtual classroom. So why we are doing this workshop? because we know when we are teaching, so first of all we have to teach rectangles on the screen, so most of the time there are network issues, there are issues connecting with one another, there are issues to have peer learning, and then we are sometimes we are teaching in abstract mode, because it seems that we are teaching the walls, we are talking to the walls. So most of the, either it is oral or verbal teaching, and even if I am doing something, so it is demonstration, it is not actually experimenting. And so if we are doing blackboard teaching, so what happens here, so in regular classroom we are doing blackboard teaching, but here what we are doing, we expect child to imagine everything which we show them on the screen. And resourceful teaching, how can we make it a more resourceful classroom using digital tools? So this is again you are going to learn. So, and how we can facilitate learning, visualization and hands-on. Yes, we can do a lot of hands-on, in the sense you can talk about break rooms, you can think about peer interaction, you can talk about jam boards where simultaneously all students can write and share, and then you can also intervene, so this is what all you are going to learn through this workshop. So we know that different students construct same information differently. So how your digital tools can help you to meet to the learning demands of all learners. So this is important. So in virtual classroom, generally we are missing the human interaction. So it is basically something like this. So these connections, we have to make these connections more live, more real, more interactive, and more individual centric, so I'm not talking about these. So teachers do have a lot of challenges, because we are struggling to adjust with new tools. We are struggling to get instant feedback from the students, and we are struggling to. We are experts in reading the minds and expressions of our students, which can tell us, even if students do not ask question, we can, just by reading their expressions, we can make out that they are struggling, or they have some doubts. So we are missing that, and students are also struggling, so as teacher, I have to work on my pedagogy. At the same time, I have to understand from students perspective also. So how can I ease out pressure on students? So and you don't know, because when you are teaching, your students are not available, they are gayab actually from the class. You are teaching, they are listening something else, so they are sleeping, and these are regular features. We must have seen these features in our household every day. So we have the challenge of learning discourse, how we can have the interactive learning communities in the classroom, how to create a viable, more productive, uh, a differentiated learning ecosystem in the classroom. So these are the challenges which we try to answer through this workshop. There are so many advantages of virtual learning. I'll not share, because I really want that after this workshop you should able to talk about, yes, what are the advantages. So this workshop, and I'll not move further, because this is what I want, that you should able to tell us after the workshop what are the advantages, and how we can maximize whatever time we have in these 5 days. So the first thing is, we expect
Your screen sharing has stopped.
but yeah, I'm not sharing further slides. I really want that you people come up maybe after, because I'll be here on most of the days. So as and when I'll have a window, I'll share rest of the screens later. But what I was saying, we really want a very interactive group, because you as teachers, if your participants are discussing, asking question is your right, so do ask lot of questions, do ask all doubts. It is the fundamental right of every student to ask question in the classroom. So be very participative, very engaging learner, because it's going to benefit us, it's going to motivate us, and it will help us to know your needs, very specific needs, and we can redesign. So there is nothing fixed. We do have a framework of the workshop, but we can accommodate, we can adapt your needs in the workshop. So if you have very specific needs, we can see how can we make best use of this time, and the expertise, the Kushal and Steffi, they are going to bring to you. So all the best, enjoy learning, and make us part of your learning process. Thank you, Jagjit. All the best to all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Jyoti ma'am, for this enlightening session, and I'm sure there'll be many more to follow. We are really looking forward to more sessions with you.